Hello, everyone, and welcome to another issue of Crowdfunded Criticism. And as always, I am your esteemed host, Mr. Keto Subway, but you can call me Chris if you'd like. And today we're going to be talking and discussing Adam Post's College of the Dead. So, a couple of little quick disclaimers before we start on it. Um, there will be spoilers. Because obviously I'm going to need to explain my criticisms and all, and also because, well, enough time has passed that I feel like putting out spoilers is not really that big of a deal. So if you haven't received your books or if you haven't read it yet and you don't want the story ruined and whatnot, then of course I'll perfectly understandable that you would click back out of this. The other disclaimer is that I my um, sorry, I'm really tired for some reason. I've been trying to do this review now over and over again for a while. This is like my umpteenth take. My view of the creator does not reflect my view of the product. There we go. Woo! Uh, yeah, I'm certainly going to try my best to separate art from the artist. You know, in fact, the only time I think that the creator should factor in at all would be um, the customer service slash professionalism aspect of it, because there is obviously a large portion of customers do care about that. So for me, so we'll get that out of the way right now. Adam Post, I've had nothing but positive and polite interactions with him. He seems to be about the bit all about the business, and he's just been polite and nice to me. And so, yeah, I would consider him to be professional. All right, so what was that? I don't know. All right, so let's get into it. Adam Post. So the premise of this book is the outbreak of a zombie virus. The zombie outbreak, and it's set in a college. That's it. It's a pretty simple premise. The beginning of a zombie outbreak, and it takes place at a college. This is 100 plus pages for $25 plus shipping. Um, however, my first and probably the most important criticism I got for this book will be the page layout. So here is a page of it. So as you can see, it's 2 panels per page, and it's just big panels just put on there in a basic fashion, and then there's all this empty space all around it. Um, every every single page is like this. Every page in the book is got this basic layout. Um, so I'm not going to lie. When I first seen this, I got angry. I got quite angry. I was like, what the f is this? What is this? This looks cheap. You know, because hey, I'm just a customer. I don't know what goes on in the creative process, but I know what this looks like. It looks cheap. So I was not happy, at first. And I honestly didn't read this book until like a week and a half ago, because it just irritated me so bad looking at it. Oh, that's pretty bad. And yeah, that's the I guess you'd say optics that it gives off to someone, to myself anyway. The other thing I thought was, well, if there's only 2 panels on each page, then is it really over 100 pages? Because it feels like you just took maybe a normal sized book and just stretched it out to 100 plus pages. You know, and how much actual story and content and value are you actually getting out of those 100 pages if there's only 2 panels on each one? So that is by far my biggest criticism for this book is the layouts. It looks basic, it looks cheap, It is not appealing whatsoever. And like, obviously, if it upset me enough that I didn't read this book until like a week ago, then obviously it's going to pull me out of the story before I even, even get a chance to even start reading it. Before I've even read the first page, I'm already kind of in this negative headspace towards the book. So that's not good, in my opinion. So before you actually start reading the book, you get this staff and students section, which is basically like character summary. It gives a picture of all the characters here. Gives you like a kind of like a little brief like summary of them. Normally, like in where it's like Spider-Man number 384, I like something like that. It allows me as a new person to come in, kind of get caught up with the story so far, get an idea of who these characters are, and then can read the book without any issues. This is a 100+ page book, and it's the first book of its universe, so I shouldn't need a character summary, obviously. It's not really a criticism, I guess. Like, I'm not like, oh, what is this? But I don't see why it's there. I don't see why it's, I don't really feel like it's necessary. In fact, to me personally, I would have rather have seen something in the back of the book, like a status report or something like that. Like it gives like the status of every character at the end of the book, like dead, missing, missing, alive, and then maybe like a little editor's note for each character, like what the create, like a little thought from the creator about each character. I think that would have been much better, in my opinion, than a just bland summary that we didn't need for a first book. I mean, if you're giving me 100+ pages for the first book in a universe, I shouldn't need a character summary. It should just, the book should tell me everything, right, that I need to know. But that's not really like a big negative against it. It's just my thoughts on that. So the story and everything is just kind of, I don't know. I would consider overall, I consider this like the story and art to be kind of below average-ish. I'm not like super impressed by it or anything. Like the story itself, like the writing, I could be wrong here, but in my opinion, it feels like it has a bit of a identity crisis, where it can't seem to fully decide where it wants to commit itself to. Like overall, this feels like a Walking Dead-esque story. Kind of like a knockoff. I don't want to say knockoff Walking Dead because that sounds a little bit rude, but I mean like a store brand Walking Dead or something. It's very tries to make itself very serious, very character driven kind of scenario like that. But then there's other times like the cover here shows this football player. There's an actual part of the story here where the football team does in fact charge out because they're super hopped up on bath salts, and they charge out into the zombies, and eventually one guy does cradle a zombie head like a football. Because another spoiler alert here, the professor is actually selling drugs to kids. This professor character, she was kind of like the bad guy, and she's selling drugs to college students as like a side gig to make money to pay for her daughter's crazy pills. Which that seems kind of ridiculous. Why would a esteemed college professor who probably has tenure and insurance need to sell drugs? I don't know, but on top of it, it's not just like selling weed to stoners. She's dropping bath salts on football team. And then on top of it, so on top of it, she just tells. She doesn't even need to convince them. She just tells the football team, "Hey, go take all those bath salts, get all hopped up on it, and then charge out of the college and charge, make a kind of break through the mob of zombies to try and get to the student parking lot. And then the other survivors will follow behind them, and hopefully they'll make their getaway." in reality, she knows it's going to fail. She's just using it as a distraction so she can get to the teacher parking lot. Um, and so they come charging out all hopped up and they're saying their school, I guess, football motto. And they're like, and like one of them, like I said, carries the football zombie's head. And like he shoves another zombie and stuff like that. They're actually, it doesn't actually show much, but yeah, there's a couple panels of that. And like that's kind of over the top and like really is starting to hit that B movie zombie camp, you know, like that over the top scenario. That's where I feel like it's hitting, starting to hit there, and it's like, where are you going with it? Are you going deep, Walking Dead character driven discussion, or are you going into B movie zombie camp? Because personally, the potential I think was there for the football scenario. So here, let me show you a page of it real quick. The potential for the football team to do some wild and crazy stuff. Like here it is. So there, you see there they are charging out. This fella's got like looks like a beer keg in his hands. There he's shoving a zombie down. There he's carrying the zombie like a football. And then he says goal, and that's it. that's the whole football part of it. That's the whole football part of it. I personally would have loved to have seen them just embrace that camp. Just seeing the whole team come out like with their shoulder pads on, cleats, your pads, helmet, just come out, just blam, man. Maybe one just comes out because they're all hopped up on the baskets. Maybe even they got a little bit of foam on around the mouth. They're like, ah! And they come right out and like maybe one of them just grabs a zombie by the head, just just rips it off and then holds it like a football, and then he just punches another as he runs past. Maybe have like a crawler zombie, like and he's crawling towards one of them, and have like one of the other football guys just running up and he just punts the zombie and like the head goes flying off into the air like a field goal or something. I think that would have been a lot more just fun and engaging. Um, but that's the thing. I think this would have been a fun like kind of if he would have like really went into the camp, it would have been fun. Uh, or if he would have just took the camp completely out and stick with just a deep, serious Walking Dead-esque thing. Because, like I said, this football thing felt humorous, like very humorous and very kind of over the top, but it didn't really mesh, in my opinion, with the rest of the story. Uh, art wise, it's like I said, below average, I guess. Like some of the faces, I didn't really I had an issue with. Apparently, I got characters mixed up. Apparently, like let's see, I was scrolling because like I said, I didn't read this character summary until right before I started trying to do these. Um, this girl, I have no idea who she is. Uh, I I don't know. I don't know who she is, where she came from. I apparently thought she was the main character. So yeah, so uh, and there was a couple of times where one of these characters I actually thought was the main character until I looked at the clothes and I was like, oh, okay, that's somebody else. So sometimes the faces I'm not a huge fan of and stuff. But the real issue for me, and I probably wouldn't have noticed this too much at first, but there's a lot of little inconsistencies, I guess you'd say. Like, for instance, here, okay, you have this girl going to try and get into the elevator, and this other girl is like, nah, I'm not going to help her, F her. But then she makes it in, she makes it in anyway. See, there she is. Well, she ends up dying. She ends up getting zombie bit. She ends up getting munched on because the same girl that wouldn't let her in basically throws her off because she's cold, baby, cold as ice. Basically, they're trying to climb up this elevator shaft cable because the elevator just, the power goes out before they can reach the top. So they're stuck on the roof of the elevator. Some zombie comes down, so they're all like, ah! So they start climbing up. This girl freezes up. So the girl underneath her just grabs her and tosses her down because they ain't got time for that. Ain't got time for that nonsense. Well, when she does, there she falls down, and then the zombies munch on her. Now, if you look, she's got a long dress on. In both panels, she's got a long dress on. So, but when she goes to enter the elevator, she doesn't. So, and little inconsistencies like that, and maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong there, but there's like little inconsistencies like that throughout this whole book. Like, uh, here's one. So the group that was in the elevator finally gets obviously up out of the elevator. They make it to some classrooms. I think they meet up with the professor woman. But while they're there, they sharpen wooden sticks into kind of like one-handed spears. Well, two of the guys go meet the advisor. I guess to see if he's okay or something. Well, spoiler alert, he's dead and he's a zombie. So he pops up and they're like, oh my God. Then this guy apparently thwacks him. And you can see it says thwack. You can see like the swinging motion downward onto the guy's head, but then the stick itself is jammed up through his head. So is he swinging downward or is he thrusting into him? He is apparently thrusting into him because there's the stick going through the mouth and out the back of the head. So why the thwack and why the line downward? That part I don't understand. It seems like he's swinging, like yeah, and instead he was like chunk up through the guy's mouth. So that's another inconsistency. And like I said, they're all throughout this. At one point in time, the professor's daughter, she gets a sniper rifle type gun. It's like a hunting rifle, and she's aiming down through the scope at the two main characters, and she's on the roof. Well, she doesn't shoot them, but then some pages pass, and then one of the main characters trying to fight off a zombie, and she shoots it, through the head. And when the main character looks up, there she is, still standing on the roof, and this time instead of a sniper rifle with a scope, she's got like a assault rifle. Your kind of generic-y looking assault rifle kind of gun. It doesn't have a scope, none of that stuff. So it's a completely different gun. Where did that gun come from? What happened to her sniper rifle? It would have made a lot more sense to use it because it had a scope, right? So there's just a lot of weird little inconsistencies like that, like at one point in time, okay, so I guess I should describe some of the characters here. The main character is kind of like a Girl Scout type character. Like she's really nice, really caring about others, things like that. But she has a bit of a tragic past. She's been abused by her father. I think her mother abandoned her, sort of thing. And then you have what I call the professor, who is, I think she's supposed to be Russian. She's this esteemed professor who sells drugs on the side to pay for her daughter's crazy pills. And she's ruthless. Then you have the professor's daughter, who is just, the stereotypical, like, I'm super capable, but I'm also super crazy, She's apparently seems to be the only one in this whole book who can deal with zombies. Even though it's been shown in the book that people know what zombies are. Like they talk about it, they reference Night of the Walking Dead. So obviously they don't know that zombies are real, but they've seen the media, right? The media stuff like we've seen. So they have knowledge of the Walking Dead, of these zombies. So the main character idolizes the professor. That's why she's at this college, so she can learn under her. So her roommate is the professor's assistant and tells her about all this stuff. She drops all this knowledge on her, like, hey, the professor's actually been selling all these drugs, and she has a daughter who's she's paying for her pills, basically, and the main character is like, no, I know everything there is to know about her. There's no mention of any daughter, and you're just talking out your ass. And so like I think it's not even like a panel or two later. Let me look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure it's like just like a panel or two later. God, where is it? I think it's after they get back into the classroom. And no. She leaves, then she gets smacked. Yeah, she's the roommate. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, see, in this panel, she's like, yeah, daughter, I've read everything there is about her. There's nothing about and then it goes back to the professor where she's talking to her daughter. Okay. So we flip the page. Okay, there's more talkie. More talkie. Then the main character shows up with the group. And then right here, so we're like, I think two flips of the pages here. I'm they're talking, and then I'm sure my daughter didn't know what she was doing, and then there's the main character who's talking about her father. So that is the main character. She just referenced her daughter, and the daughter's right there and everything, and so I thought, okay, right. She just confirmed that she does indeed have a daughter, which she said, hey, I've learned there ain't no daughter. Because that was one of the reasons why she dismissed that woman's whole claim. I thought, well, okay, now she's going to be like, wait a minute, she does have a daughter. So maybe my roommate was kind of telling the truth, or maybe that would cause her to doubt her hero worship of this professor. Nope, no, she seems to she just ignores it. you know, she seems to just kind of ignore that she said that in a way. She's just like, yeah, I mean, even worse, she's like, she's like, I've admired you for years, and then she narks on her roommate. She's like, oh, she tapped the phone, and she still doesn't believe that the professor did all these things. It's like, she just confirmed that, she had a daughter, like that doesn't make any sense. Like, shouldn't she have, like, been like, hey, wait a minute. But like, that's just me, right? I'm being nitpicky, I guess. But like I said, there's a lot of little issues, like inconsistencies and things I don't really particularly care for all throughout this book. Um, Overall, I don't really feel like this uh, this book. It says it's 100+ pages, but it definitely does not feel like 100+ pages. It feels like a much smaller story, just stretched out. Because there's only 2 panels on each page. So how much story can you get out of it? Like I said, outside of the main character, the professor, and the professor's daughter, you really don't get much, if any, characterization. And even with the professors, the daughter, and everything, you don't even get really that much uh, with them. It's just, oh, okay, well, the professor's daughter is crazy and she needs pills to maintain her sanity. And she kind of develops by the end of the story, she's kind of developed this like thing about the main character. The professor, we find out obviously that she's selling the drugs, and she's ruthless. And they were going to arrest her the day of the outbreak, And that was about it. That's really about it. She just gets her daughter and leaves. Um, the main character, we find out obviously she was abused by her father, and her mother seems to have like abandoned her years before. She by the end of it, she's in a car and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna go see my mother. Like that's what we get. Which to me that doesn't make a lot of sense. Why a zombie outbreak happens, and instead of being like, hey, you know what, I need to go maybe to like a safe house, like a government instituted safe house, or maybe try to search for my friends who've been there for me, or anything else, you're gonna be like, you know what, that woman that abandoned me years ago who sent me a letter, I'm gonna go there. But once again, that's just a personal nitpick. It works. How you say it, suspension of disbelief and all that. Which I would have suspension of disbelief if it wasn't for the damn layout and all these weird little inconsistencies. Um, so you don't really learn a lot about any of these characters. And like I said, if this was a normal 100+ page, you'd have learned a lot about all of them. So overall, I'm not a fan of this book. I don't think I would recommend it to someone. Um, another thing, like another inconsistency. The girl that I said about who wears the different clothes and she gets nommed in the elevator. Well, that's an elevator shaft. So there's actually a couple weird instances in the elevator shaft here. One of the zombies, they hit with a guitar, right? And they seem to shove him off the shaft, down off the elevator and down the shaft. But then, like, when we come back, he's back again, and he's wrestling with them. So it's like, what? So that part I didn't understand. I guess maybe it's like on ground, it's on the bottom. Maybe it's like on the very bottom floor, and it was able to somehow climb back up the thing. I don't know, but it didn't seem like it. It seemed like it was, pretty far down. So anyway, so this girl gets nommed on the roof of the elevator. Well, okay, so by the end of this book, we've got towards the end here, we've got the main character. She's heading towards I think she's either in the student parking lot or she's heading towards it. I can't remember. And she bumps back into that same girl, except of course she's a zombie. So my immediate thought was, well, how did this zombie get out of the elevator shaft? Did it climb? Are these zombies now capable of climbing? They seem like your stereotypical zombies. So it somehow got out of the elevator shaft, got out of the main building of the college, and then coincidentally bumped into her right then at the student parking lot. It doesn't make sense. I don't get that. So overall, I'm not a huge fan of this book. I was kind of really disappointed in it, to be honest with you. I did back the second book because I hadn't read obviously this first one, so I seen that it was 48 pages and it's in color. So I'm hoping that any mistakes that were made on this book will have been learned from and fixed upon with this second one, especially this layout. Oh my gosh. I really hope he didn't put that like basic layout on this new one. Oh, if so, it will. Oh no. So I'm gonna read. I haven't even looked. I don't think I've even looked at that one. So I will look at it, read it, and probably review it maybe next week or something. Anyways, this has gotten way too long. And I've probably rambled on a lot. Like I said, this is probably like my 10th time trying to make this because I kept screwing up on it, making stupid mistakes and issues. And I'm really tired. But anyway, I hope I was at least a little professional here. And like I said at the beginning of the movie, at the beginning of the video, this is not intended to like be an attack on Adam or uh, an attack on his product or anything like that. I'm not. Yeah, this is simply a review and my personal opinion on this product. So anyone who's watching it, if you haven't subscribed, of course, please subscribe uh, and leave me a little like. And as always, feedback is always appreciated. I understand I was a bit rambly on this. Like I said, I'm really tired and I've been trying to figure out how to do this review for a while now and I've been struggling. uh, but all right, everybody, I'm going to end this one. Thank you all for listening and good day.